All right, so now we have our virtual machine. Now we need to go in and change the settings. Okay, so first of all, under System, go to the System option here, and under Processor, we're going to change this to 2 processors. Okay, because it's 64-bit, we want it to run 64-bit, and we want it to run with 2 CPUs. All right, now next, let's go down to Network. Now this is the important part of getting the interfaces to work correctly with the Junos VM. So under Attach To, we're going to select Generic Driver. And under Name, we're going to call this UDP Tunnel. And on Adapter Type, we want to select Paravirtualized Network. Okay. Now on my machine, I'm pretty sure it's basically due to the driver, the actual physical driver that I have for my PC. But for promiscuous mode, it's grayed out for me. I don't have the option to select anything. It's just default deny. If that's not grayed out for you, go ahead and select allow. That's the best option to use. Mine just doesn't allow it for me. All right, so under generic properties, we need to specify a few things here. And you'll do this, put in the same parameters on your machine. This is basically because we're using the generic driver, we have to specify these options here. Port. I'll call it 10,004. Source port is 10,005. Okay. You don't have to do anything with these other adapters here. Just make sure that everything other than the MAC address here matches what you see on my screen. And we're going to click OK. You can right click and that gives you some options here. We're going to go back in and make sure that everything's saved, and that's the way that it's supposed to look. All right, so now we have our first SRX virtual machine ready to go. Well, for our labs, we're going to be using 1 to 2 SRXs in our labs. So what we want to do is we want to right click on the SRX we just made, and we want to clone it. All right, instead of naming it clone, I'm just going to name it vSRX-02. All right. All right, click next, and we want a full clone, not a linked clone, a full clone. And there we go. So we have vSRX-02. Now we're going to go in here and check the options. Make sure the options are still the same. 1 gig of RAM, 2 CPU cores. Under network, all that should be the same. Generic driver, paravirtualized network, and the generic properties. Now, one thing you're going to notice here that may cause an issue is that the MAC address for this virtual machine is also copied. Well, since we're dealing with networking and network interfaces, we probably don't want this virtual machine's MAC address to be the same as the other one because we're going to connect the two. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the last 4 digits of this MAC address just so they're different from the other one and we don't have any problem. So I'm just going to change it a little bit and make it C323 instead of 424. And then we'll click OK. All right, so now we have a virtual machine set up, and that should be all good. So I'm just going to minimize this, and we're going to open GNS3. All right. On this, I didn't show you before, but just click Don't Show again. Go to Local, click Next, uncheck that box, and click Finish. Okay, and we're going to click Cancel here because I want you to see how to use the options. We're going to create a new project, and we're going to call this Junos Lab 1. Click OK. All right, so now we have a lab opened, created. Now under Edit, go to Preferences, and we're not using QEMU for our virtual machines, we are using VirtualBox. So click on VirtualBox, and we don't need to change anything here, but click on the sub option right here, VirtualBox VMs. Now what we want to do is create new. Alright, and I forgot to mention, right before you get to this point, before we go in and open GNS3, you really need to reboot. Otherwise, your VM from VirtualBox may not show up on this list. But we do see our VM here, we see both of them, so we're going to select vSRX 01. And we're going to click Finish, and now we have it basically imported into GNS3. We're going to click Edit. Alright, so we have general settings here. We don't need to change any of those. What we're interested in is the network settings. So under adapters, we want more than one adapter. We're going to go ahead and select 8. Alright, so make sure you have 8 adapters. Those are our Ethernet ports. Okay, now under name format, this is set to Ethernet 0. Basically, the number in the curly brackets here, that's going to increment up with our number of interfaces. So we're going to delete the Ethernet part, and we're going to follow the Junos naming convention here by naming these GE-0/0/. Now we don't want to take out the curly brackets, we want to leave this part on the end right here because that's the number that's going to increment up with our interfaces. Okay? So under type, we want to select Paravirtualized Network. Okay, and we want to check the box to allow GNS3 to use any configured VirtualBox adapter. Okay, that's important. Alright, so we can click OK, and we're going to go ahead and import our second SRX, so click New. And it already populates there. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. We're going to go back into Edit. Under Network, we're going to give this one 8 interfaces as well. We're going to change the interface name format. Okay. And we're going to select Paravirtualized Network and check the box to allow GNS3 to use any configured VirtualBox adapter. Alright, so now we have our 2 SRX virtual machines imported into GNS3. Now these virtual machines, these are not virtual machines just found anywhere out there on the internet or some download site. This virtual machine that I'm using here is directly from Juniper. This is the vSRX image directly from Juniper. So no worries with that, nothing, you don't have to worry about anything being tampered with, nothing's been changed. This is a real SRX image from Juniper. Alright, so we're going to click Apply and then click OK. Now, it's going to put these machines right here under this category. You'll show these, you'll see these show up here. They're not going to be under router. I don't have anything else configured here. You can go back and you can actually change the icon and change what category they're in, but for now we just want to drag our first SRX into our environment here, and we're going to drag the second one as well. Now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and connect a cable between the two. So this little cable icon here, we're going to click that, and then we're going to click on the first SRX. And you notice if you hover over there, you can see all 8 of your interfaces listed. So just click on the SRX, and these are all red because it's not powered on and nothing's connected to them. But we want to connect the GE0 interfaces between the routers. So just stretch it over here and click on the second one and connect it to GE0. And right now you'll see the little red dots here. That just means the links are down because the SRXs are powered off. Now it's important that you power on these SRXs one at a time. If you try to power them both on at the same time, this link will not actually come up. The dots will turn green, but you won't be able to use them. So you need to let one SRX power on before the other. So if you just click the green play button right here, this is going to turn on everything in your environment. So you don't want to do that. What we want to do is we want to click on the first SRX and then right click and then click start. Alright, so GNS3 is initializing the virtual machine from VirtualBox, and you'll see this window pop up here.